3 weeks before Chernobyl's reactor 4 exploded in April 1986, a small number of Soviet engineers had quietly moved their families out of Pripyat. Not officially, not on record, just gone. Every major disaster of the last 50 years had the same warning sign, and it was never the technical data. It was what the insiders did when they thought no one was watching. Here's what I want you to sit with for a moment. Not the explosion itself, but the 36 hours before the public knew anything. The reactor at Chernobyl blew apart at 1:23 in the morning on April 26, 1986. Soviet plant operators concealed the accident from local authorities. The townspeople of Pripyat, a city of nearly 50,000 people, them families of plant workers, were not alerted during the night. They woke up the next morning and went about their day. Some sent their children to school. The official evacuation didn't begin until 2 p.m. on April 27th, 36 hours after the explosion. And when it came, residents were told it was temporary. Bring documents, a little food, you'll be back in 3 days. But the officials, a different story. Documented accounts from the period describe party officials quietly getting their own families out, while ordinary people were placed in danger through lack of information. The gap between what the people with real knowledge did and what they told everyone else to do was 36 hours wide. 36 hours in which the radiation didn't pause. That's case one. Now move the clock forward 22 years. By late 2006, Goldman Sachs had figured something out about the American housing market that it was not sharing with its clients. According to the Senate Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations, Goldman packaged, sold, and simultaneously shorted a total of 47 synthetic CDOs, instruments backed by mortgage securities, with an aggregate face value of $66 billion between mid-2004 and mid-2007. They were selling these products to clients while internally building positions that would pay out if those same products collapsed. In 2006, Goldman created the Hudson Mezzanine CDO, an $800 million instrument, and threw its full marketing weight behind it. Salespeople were internally requesting material about how great the sector was, according to emails cited in the Senate report, even as Goldman's own mortgage desk was going net short. CFO David Vineyard's internal note from July 2007 celebrated the firm's short position. The clients holding the long side of those trades found out what Goldman knew when the market told them, not before. That's the same signal, not a seismograph, not a stress test. The revealed preference of people who built the system, quietly building exits from it. Now, move the clock forward again, early 2020. Before the World Health Organization declared a global pandemic, before most Americans had been told to worry, a number of U.S. senators received classified intelligence briefings on the emerging threat from COVID-19. Senator Richard Burr of North Carolina, then chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, sold between $628,000 and $1.72 million in stocks in mid-February 2020, weeks before the market collapsed. Senator Kelly Loeffler of Georgia sold millions in stock holdings shortly after a January 24, 2020 briefing. Both said publicly that the threat was being managed. The stock sales were documented in mandatory Senate financial disclosure forms. Not allegations, not rumors. Public filings. 3 cases, 3 different decades, 3 completely different systems: nuclear, financial, biological. And in every single one, the people with the real information did the same thing. They moved their own assets, their own families, their own bodies, before they said a word to you. It's not the seismograph. It's not the stress test. It's not the epidemiological model. It's what the insiders do with their own money, their own families, their own bodies, before they say a word to you. That is the only early warning system that has never failed. So I want to ask you something directly. Does it feel like a coincidence to you that this sequence, insider action, public silence, then catastrophe, shows up every single time? Because I've been sitting with that question for a while, and I don't have a clean answer. Here's what I do know. The cases I just gave you are history. They're documented, they're in Senate reports and evacuation timelines and financial disclosure forms. What I want to show you next is that the same signal is running right now, in 2025 and 2026, and almost nobody is talking about it. The senators, the Goldman desk, the party officials, All three moved before they said a word publicly. Which of those three hits you hardest? The families quietly leaving Pripyat, the stock sales, or the CDO clients left holding the bag? Drop your answer in the comments below. Because what comes next is where this pattern stops being history. That pattern I described, insider action, public silence, then catastrophe, isn't sitting in a history book. It's running right now. In 2025 and into 2026, the United States saw the highest number of CEO departures since tracking began in 2002. By August 2025, the total had already reached 1,058 exits for the year, a record. The most cited reason, according to Challenger, Gray & Christmas, was executives voluntarily stepping down. The second largest category, companies gave no reason at all. 276 departures with no explanation offered, none. And I want to be careful here, because this is where some people take a documented pattern and run it somewhere it doesn't deserve to go, into the territory of shadowy cabals and coordinated escapes. I'm not doing that. A CEO leaving a struggling company is not a signal. A retail executive getting fired over an undisclosed relationship is not a signal. Those are noise, and I'll set them aside because they deserve to be set aside. What I'm not going to set aside is the logistical footprint that sits right alongside those departures. Right now, in 2025 and 2026, the bunker construction industry is reporting a level of demand it has never seen before. Not metaphorically, literally. Ron Hubbard, the CEO of Atlas Survival Shelters in Texas, purchased 701 bunker air filtration systems in a single month, more than he had sold in the previous 13 years combined. The clients commissioning these structures aren't fringe preppers. They are, as one luxury real estate broker put it, business executives, celebrities, and global investors. Mark Zuckerberg's compound on the Hawaiian island of Kauai, estimated at over $270 million, self-sufficient on energy, water, and food, with a substantial underground component, has been under active construction for years. Every worker on site signed a non-disclosure agreement. Reid Hoffman, the co-founder of LinkedIn, has described this as apocalypse insurance, and suggested that more than half of Silicon Valley's top tier has some version of it. He calls it insurance. I noticed that when you buy insurance, you've already made a private assessment about risk, one you haven't necessarily shared with anyone else. Now, I want to be precise about what I'm claiming and what I'm not. I'm not going to tell you a collapse is coming. I'm not going to pretend that bunker construction is the same category of evidence as a Senate financial disclosure form, because it isn't. What I'm telling you is that the people who would know, the people who built the financial systems, the AI systems, the infrastructure, are doing the same thing the Soviet Party officials did in 1986, the same thing Goldman's mortgage desk did in 2006, the same thing 2 U.S. senators did in February 2020. They are quietly, methodically, expensively arranging their own exits, while publicly saying everything is fine, while building the very products and systems they are simultaneously building escapes from. That's not an allegation, that's a construction permit and an NDA. And here's what I can't resolve cleanly, the thread that doesn't fit neatly into any of the cases I've laid out. In early 2025, a number of central bank officials across multiple countries began making unusually conservative adjustments to their personal asset disclosures, moving toward cash equivalent positions and hard assets at the same time their institutions were publicly projecting stability. I've looked at this from several angles, and I genuinely don't know what to make of it, because it doesn't map perfectly onto any of the prior cases. It's not as clean as a stock sale before a pandemic. It's not as legible as a family quietly leaving Pripyat, but it rhymes. So I'll leave you with the same question I've been sitting with. If the people who have always known first are doing the same things they did in 1986, in 2008, and in early 2020, what exactly are they insuring against? Subscribe if you want more like this, and watch the next one.